unity. One thing, unity is the key to dominate that.
As long as Africa is dependent on the West for its very survival, how hopeful are you for Africa to be politically free?
That's a very tough question. Before I answer that question, I want to take us back last weekend.
Every year, Ethiopia celebrates Victory Day, not Independence Day.
I believe that Ethiopia is the center. I will call Ethiopia the mother of Africa. And everything starts, everything begins, and everything ends with Ethiopia.
Africa, a population of more than 1 billion people, is not a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Yet it is not immune from the repercussions of the Council's decision. In 2011, the NATO-led coalition crippled the Libyan government using Security Council resolution as a legal pretext. What is your take on this?
Again, this is the Western power at work, you know.
Welcome to Messenger from Amhara Media Corporation. I'm Johannes Jalam. Pan-Africanism had been the most influential political movement in the struggle for independence in the 1960s and in the 1970s as Africans struggled to gain their independence from colonialists. The establishment of the Organization of African Unity, now simply known as the African Union, was one of the movement's great accomplishments. The question is, can Pan-Africanism make a difference in today's Africa? To answer this question, I am joined by Chairperson of United Pan-Africanist Movement, Benedicto Mbango.
My name is Benedicto Mbango. I am a born Equatorial Guinean and Cameroonian at the same time. I live in the United States of America. Professionally, I'm a petroleum engineer. I've been doing that for quite over 18 years. And I'm also a CEO for Mbango Enterprises. I'm a mentor and also counselor for African American community in Washington, D.C. I'm also a president of the of Mbango Foundation. So pretty much I've been helping a lot of children here in the United States and of course back in Africa as well to make a better living, and of course bringing them to stubborn children and of course children that are going astray, put them to the right path. I ended up becoming a Pan-Africanist after I got I would say like something hit me in 2019. I think I was watching some videos around the world, the things that were going around the world, especially with Black people in America. And of course, you have a lot of Black people in Asia and all that stuff. And of course, in Africa, that's the worst. And this was, I think I was at work. It was at nighttime. And I just watched the video on how, the African people have been struggling and suffering and, till today, since I was born to today. And it struck me so bad at work. So I came home. It was, I was working nights during that period. And I came home around 3 a.m. in the morning. When I got to my house, I fell on my knees and I cried, after looking at how, African people have been, struggling and suffering. And I've been asking a lot of questions, but why? Who are we? Why are we, suffering like this? Why are we the only race that has been struggling for so long and doesn't have a direction? Before then, I wasn't a Pan-Africanist. I didn't know much about Pan-Africanism. So it was after that day, that night, after I cried like a little baby, I actually started asking myself that, I need to dig more into this, and I make a pledge. I just call on God, and I said, God, I don't know how I can help this, and I don't know how I can, make this, what I can do to help the situation with the African people in the continent and those around the world. And that day, I just I want to know more about how I can be of a help. And I will do anything possible to make sure that, my African people can be, can have a better life, and I will do everything to make sure that I can support so that we can get where we have to be. After that, I'll start doing some research about the Western world, the Western powers, and about how we get here and all that. So I started digging into Pan-Africanism, and then 2020, I started a campaign off of Facebook, and one guy pulled me over and called me, sent me a message, and said, "Hey, we see that you're a great man, and we started a movement called United Pan-Africanist Movement. And so, would you like to join us?" I say, "Yeah, sure, I will." This was a young man, he's a student in Liberia. So I came in. They had just started 2 weeks prior to that. So I was invited there, and I was added to the group. It was a WhatsApp group. So that's how I joined United Pan-Africanist Movement, and from there, when I came there, was just from the beginning of the whole thing. So I was part of it from the beginning. Even though I joined like 3 weeks late, I helped to put the structure. Pretty much everybody, most people that came after that. By then, they had a chairperson and a secretary, and of course, a very small board at that moment, because they had less than 20 people at that moment. And so, as when I came in, we started bringing more people. Were coming in, and people were excited. People were moving. Like we want to do something. We want to help the African people. We want to make sure that we can have a better life and a better future for ourselves and our children. And so, in the space of a few months, we have a constitution, and we have a direction, we have a structure put in place, how we can go forward. And I ended up becoming a chairperson after about 4 months, where the chairperson at that moment, they feel like he wasn't competent enough to lead the movement globally. So he was voted out as the chairperson, and was voted in as a chairperson at that moment, and other officers as well.
What is the vision of United Pan-Africanism movement, and how different it is from the original version of Pan-Africanism movement that we used to know in the 1960s, in the 1970s?
That's a great question. Well, our vision is pretty simple, just as any other Pan-African group. So pretty much, so our vision is to create a Pan-African federation where all African states unite and become economically self-sustainable, while also aiming to reconcile all African states, which can also allow all African nations to transform and reach a point of true solidarity, self-government, and political and socio-economic independence. Furthermore, we also endeavor to promote security, peace, stability, justice within the Union of Africa. We also, one of our vision also is our mission is to secure a civil and political rights for African people, promote friendly relations among African people, encourage African people in education, industrial, entrepreneurship. We also want to partner with AU and local governments to establish free trade and open borders, also making Africa to become economically self-sustainable. We want to lobby government on behalf of the African people and ameliorate conditions of Black people in Africa, in America, in Asia, Europe, Caribbean, and other states, as well as encourage them and strengthen bonds of solidarity between all indigenous Africa ethnic groups in the continent and in the diaspora, and also, with striving for unification for true independence for economic prosperity. So that's our mission, and of course, again, our vision as a United Pan-Africanist movement. The difference between us and other groups is that we believe in getting the job done. So we know many other groups have been talking about this in Facebook, on media all the time, but very few have actually hit the ground to make sure that we bring these changes. Now, you did mention in the beginning that Pan-Africanism was born the AU, which of course our AU came out of a Pan-African movement from Marcus Garvey all the way down to Kwame Nkrumah and all that stuff. So, but they did a great job by giving us independence, but we are not truly independent. So, right now we have to make sure that we get a total, true independence while uniting Africa where it's supposed to be to achieve the great dream of Pan-African. So, the difference with us is that we want to make sure that those things those dreams, those visions, the goals, the objectives that are achieved. So we're hitting the ground, creating grassroots mobilization to be able to reach that goal. I think right now we can see the wave of the youth, the young people growing up, seeing that our countries were not independent. If we are a sovereign state, talking about Ethiopia, I think is the only country that can say that very much stand independent. But if you look at many other countries in Africa, especially the French colony countries in Africa, they're not independent. We still find French militaries in those countries. If a country is independent, of course, you will not be having foreign military bases in those countries. I can tell you, it's pretty simple. There's no African country that has a police or security or even any other, kind of law enforcement, office in any other country in Europe or Asia or America or even in Caribbean. But Africa is the only continent that has almost, if not all the countries, but most of the countries do have military bases from other, like French and of course British and of course Europe and America. They have their bases in those countries. What are they doing there? If they said we're independent,
It is now more than half a century since almost all African countries become independent states. Yet, we are witnessing civil wars, conflicts among Africans. Some people argue that we Africans are to blame for the conditions of life we are leading right now. What do you say to these people?
Yes, we can blame ourselves, leaders, for not standing up or standing tall with the people of Africa. And of course, we can also blame the citizens for, not working with the leaders to make sure that we have a sustainable systems, or of course that avoid conflicts and fighting each other and killing each other. But in the end of the day, these are all strategy that Western colonial masters had to put in to make sure that we can keep fighting while they come in and grab what they want to get in Africa. So I would say that the conflicts and the wars we have in Africa today, again, all systematic, strategic, plan by Europe and of course the Western world to make sure that we are destabilized, so that they, give them the rules to come in with aid and orders, like they're coming to help, but they are coming to take stuff from us. Have we ever asked, like, all the money that they lavish, they spend on the African continent as aid, and of course sending military to to different countries? Where does the money come from? Do you think that they are doing us a favor? We, the African people, we should understand that it is not a favor that they are doing for us. It is a way where they can create a path for them to get resources from Africa. So the aid, if United States is coming to Africa, they don't have the money. The citizens are the one paying those taxes. I pay the taxes for military to come to Africa or other places in the world to destabilize different countries. So again, some people have to work so that people can eat. But when they come in there, they get all those natural resources and they take it back, and then they make millions, and of course create all these inventions, from cell phones to cars and all that stuff. So again, everything that they're doing there is to benefit them. So I cannot blame our people for that. But it's a system that has been inflicted in us. That's all what we know. So, but I think that's why UPAM, we are coming in to making sure that we can create that awareness, talking to every African, that we don't have to kill each other. We don't have to fight each other. We have to be united. We have to work with each other, whether they are leaders, because the leaders also are all victims of the situation. Sometimes they have no choice than to follow what the colonial master follow. If not, we see what happened to Thomas Sankara. We see what happened to Muammar Gaddafi. So this is how the leaders end up if they do not obey what the Western powers ask them to do so.
One of the most important value of Pan-Africanism is solidarity or unity. How realistic is this vision, given the fact that African countries are increasingly fragmented across ethnic lines or language?
Yes, that's you mentioned something which is very, very critical. Is the ethnicity in Africa. every country that is very diverse, or every society that's very diverse, has the tendency to grow and also has a tendency to divide, because, people tend to, work in their different little groups. But I believe, one thing I strongly believe, that the unity of Africa will be realized. It's a vision that will come to pass. If not, I will not be here today. If not, I will not be part of United Pan-Africanist movement. I know not every Pan-African believe that is going to happen. That is why, they just do what they do. But I strongly believe that the unity of Africa is going to happen. And I give you 15 years. UPAM will make it happen. UPAM will make it happen. Because again, a lot of Africans started realizing that it is very important for all of us to come together. That's the only way we can survive. That's the only way we can totally get rid of the Western power in the continent. So I strongly believe that it is going to happen. And we have a 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years plan. And of course, the 15 years plan is the ultimate where we achieve the goal. And we right on track. We don't have much time to waste. Africa is in a bench of a situation where if we do not do anything right now, we'll be blaming ourselves in the nearest future. Because again, not just only Europe is in Africa, we also have Chinese, which is also a very big threat into Africa. Currently, we have 13 police stations in South Africa. What are Chinese having police stations for in South Africa? So there is just what's happening in the continent. We think it's getting better. It is getting worse. So until we start doing something, and of course the youth in the continent, they're all rising up from south to north to west to south, to east. We are all rising up to making sure that we work as one. United Pan-Africanist movement have, representation across Africa, across the diaspora, across, of course, every part of the world. You can see that massive wave coming together. Say enough is enough. Let us try to build a sustainable system. We are not saying that the West is our enemy. No, we are living the past, but we have to build our own system ourselves. We cannot wait for the West to help us because they are not there for our own benefit. If we love ourselves, we love our family, we love our city, we love our country, we love our, pretty much us as African people, we have to come together and build that for ourselves. Nobody will do it for us. And of course, we still need them, though. They needed us to build the Western world. They needed us. They needed Africa to build America. They needed Africa to build Europe. So we need them to build Africa. However, it has to be in a strategic way. If we are partnering with it, should be a fair trade, not taking advantage or looking down on us, because we are not small. We are mighty people. We are kings and queens.
Africa, a population of more than 1 billion people, is not a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Yet it is not immune from the repercussions of the Council's decision. In 2011, the NATO-led coalition crippled the Libyan government using Security Council resolution as a legal pretext. What is your take on this?
Again, this is the Western power at work, and I'll keep saying that it's because of all of these things that we Africans are afraid, but we cannot keep being afraid. We cannot run away from our problems. We have to fix it. I will tell you, the Western power have a strategy where they will come to your backyard as a friend. They will make the world see that they are your friend, but they are killing you right in your face, and they will tell the way that it is because you're bad. That's why we're killing you. We can see what happened to Iraq, not just only in Libya, what happened to Afghanistan and all that stuff. Taking Gaddafi out of power is a system, is a means of putting Africa down. We are not part of the UN Security Council, again, because we, the Western way have looked down on us, that African people are no people, like we are nothing in front of them. That's to tell you that no matter we are 1.4 billion people, this is, this is way, if you put Europe, you put America, both North and South America combined, it is not up to the population of Africa. We are the majority. After China, we are the majority. But again, In the continent, we have 1.4 billion people. In the diaspora, we have 400 million people. That is 1.8 billion African descent around the world. You know, so if we come together, the whole game change. So they are doing everything possible to keep us apart, to keep us separated, to keep us where we are. Look down on us. In the United States, they call us minority. In Africa, they call us nothing. Like we are just the same minority. But they just feel like we are all bush people. You know, that is what the media, that is what CNN, BBC, French 24 and French 21, showed in the Western world. And when you talk about when you go to Europe and America, they look you like somebody who is of no value to them. But we are the most smartest people. You go to our schools here, we are the most smartest people, the most intelligent people. But again, this is a strategy that they have to put us down so that they can keep the power and they can tell us and dictate to us when we want, or when they want us to do what and how they want us to do it. You know. But again, time has come for us to take the lead, to say enough is enough. We're gonna build it ourselves. We're gonna build Africa by us Africans.
How important was the role of Ethiopia for Pan-Africanism movement?
Ethiopia, in the history, I would say way before, pretty much Marcus Garvey, Ethiopia has been playing a very big role as a Pan-African nation, especially when they fought, the Italian, in the Adwa region. When they fought the Italian and kicked them out, this is the only nation that was able to fight against colonialism. And they were able to defeat Italy twice, So you look at the emperors of, the leadership of Ethiopia has been strong. The spirituality of Ethiopia has been very strong. And of course, the people working together. I mean, when you live in a society, you're always going to have different differences, and that is where they use, if you look at the second time when Italy came to Ethiopia, that was when Ethiopia had some little crisis, with the other tribes, and they will come in there to make treaty with other people so they can fight their own people. This is how they do it. So I think that I believe that Ethiopia is the center. I will call Ethiopia the mother of Africa. And everything starts, everything begins, and everything ends with Ethiopia. And I think Ethiopia has a very big role to play. That is the reason why we are on your TV today in Ethiopia, telling you that whatever that happens to Ethiopia happens to the entire Africa. And whatever that happens to the entire Africa happens to Ethiopia. I was here when in one of the other TV recently when the crisis was going on, when even the president had to go to the front line. And they were asking me the same question about, my position with how we look at the crisis in Ethiopia. And I condemn that, and I condemn us fighting each other, because this is what the Western world wants us to do: keep fighting and killing each other, so that they can come in. We want to make sure that Ethiopia, especially Adwa, have a central library, which is going to be like a tourist site for the entire world to visit, to know the history that the Adwa people fought in the entire continent. We want the entire continent to know that. We want that to be in a history book that will be taught by everybody in Africa, to know what happened in Ethiopia, why Ethiopia stands strong from the beginning till today.
Every year, Ethiopia celebrates Victory Day, not Independence Day, a definitive victory in Adwa against the colonialist Italy in 1896. How significant was Adwa's victory in the history of Black struggle for freedom?
I think this accompanies again the previous question that you asked, and I will say that the Adwa people give Ethiopian people I'll always praise them for that victory. It's a great victory, and while we celebrate Independence Day, you're celebrating a Victory Day. I believe that this day should be also a day where every African celebrate for Ethiopia, because it wasn't only a victory for Ethiopia, it's a victory for all Africans. And I believe in the next couple of years, it's going to come where we are going to be celebrating that same Liberation Day, not Independence Day. We don't need Independence Day, we need Liberation Day, where we'll be completely free from the hands of the colonial master, where we'll be completely free from the hands of the East, the West, the North. So I was just talking to some partners yesterday that, we want to plan a trip to Ethiopia. I want to celebrate it in the Adwa region. We want to come to Adwa so we can celebrate this particular day with them. And we want to bring the entire, world in Ethiopia to celebrate this day. And when we're celebrating that day, we want to inaugurate the school. And of course, not just a school, but also a library. And we also want to work with the government in that region so that we can be able to have extra lands to give back to the slaves that were taken away from us. So we are working across the African countries so that they can, our African brothers and sisters in the diaspora, like African Americans, the Caribbeans, that wants to move back to the continent. All what we can give them is a piece of land to start all over. They are waiting for that. They are dying to wait for that. So I believe that, this day should be celebrated by all Africans, and we're going to make sure that happens here in the next 5 years.
We have witnessed extraordinary attempts to intervene in the internal affairs of Ethiopia by the West, who are now portraying themselves as staunch guardians of sovereignty in the current crisis in Europe. And what is your take on this?
Again, I believe, first of all, we have to stop it. They're not helping us. The worst, they don't have the interest they have in Africa. It is to benefit them. What they are doing is a survival. If you look at these people, they are trying to survive, and they will do everything possible to survive. Us Africans, we have everything we need, but we are the ones showing the world that we are trying to survive. They are showing us that they are trying to help us. But no, in the reality, they are surviving, because this is the only way they can maintain power. And when they maintain power, they control everything. We don't need them in Africa. I would say I was very happy when the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, told them not to come into Ethiopia. We don't need them. I believe that, like I did mention in my words last time, that whatever that is happening to Ethiopia, it is the business of every African country, every African leader to come in there and support, make sure that there's a peace, security, and stability in Ethiopia. And that will happen in any other country in Africa. Whatever that is happening, like in Cameroon, in Nigeria, and in South Africa, in other places, we have to, it has to be the business of every African leader to make sure that every single African country in Africa should be in peace and they should have stability and, of course, security. And that we don't need any troops from France. We don't need any troops from America. We don't need any troops from anywhere else in Africa. Africa has to be our own business. Ethiopia has to be our business, as well as any other country in Africa.
Almost all mainstream media organizations are based in the Northern Hemisphere. How can Africa overcome the dominant Western narrative on the continent of Africa?
Unity. One thing. Unity is the key to dominate that. For example, they have AU, we have Russia, again, we have NATO, so they form their unity against you. They form what they call the allies, So our own allies has to be the various African countries, because again, these people, they are not our friends. They will pretend like they are the angels, they are the gods, and of course they are the people that has to help us to survive. No, we have to have that unity among us to be able to support each other. That's how we overcome them. Just imagine if 1.4 billion people come together, or 1.8 billion people come together. We take over the markets, we took over the resources. We have the resources, we manufacture, we produce, we sell, we consume. So made in Africa, working together with each country is a key to dominate the world. We don't need them, they need us. We don't need America for anything. We don't need Europe for anything. We don't need Asia for anything. They need us. And that's why they will do everything possible to make sure that unit doesn't work. But it has to work. That's the only way forward. And I believe that the youth of Africa, they're all waking up. Just imagine, I just want to cut the narrative right now, right? We have a problem right now where we have engineers, we have doctors, we have people that are highly skilled in the continent. These people give them scholarship to study in America and Europe, and they end up build a fancy lifestyle in America. And they don't think about coming back home because they feel like the home is a mess. This is now a mindset of the West. We feel comfortable being in America. It is not comfortable being here. You know, it doesn't matter how we build a life right here. There will be a day that will be chased out of this place because this is not our home. The only place you can secure, feel safe, and have peace is at your home. And Africa is our home. So the only way we can dominate this is that unity. And that unity we need right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, not 10 years, not 10 years from now, not as AU put it in 2063. No, it is today. We need that unity today. We need that infrastructure, the development, the support from every single Africans today, not tomorrow. And I'm calling on all organizations, every single youth in the continent, so that we can be able to work. And I'm calling on all Ethiopians to come together. They're fighting tribal fight. It is not of no use because we are the same people. Despite we speak different languages, despite we speak different dialects, we are the same people. If we take away all of those dialects, those traditions and all that stuff, we will be the same people. So it is very important that in as much as our diversity is a problem, our diversity also is the key to our success, because from different mindsets, different thinking, different cultures, different ways of analyzing things, that's how we build a system that can never be taken down.
My final question. Economy and political freedom are highly intertwined. As long as Africa is dependent on the West for its very survival, how hopeful are you for Africa to be politically free?
That's a very tough question. Before I answer that question, I want to take us back last weekend. I did read the articles that was discussed in the 7th summit of the AU and the EU that they had in Europe just last weekend. And it's a shame to see that the AU and the EU have a partnership. And I think the 7th summit, which means they've had, the 7th meeting they've had. And in that, they were talking about infrastructures in Africa, bringing in vaccines, manufacturing vaccines in Africa, and many other infrastructure they were putting into the place. But what fascinated me was that Europe has to get about 4.5, I think $450 billion to start this infrastructure put in place. Especially, making of vaccines in certain places in Africa. But what I did not see is that I did not see anything that AU was going to give to the EU as a partner, which means that is not this partnership, because it is only coming from the one side. It's coming from Europe. Now, why are they giving $450 billion? Why? And why is AU not giving anything back? So what are they benefiting from Africa if they have to give that money? They do not have that money to give for free. No, I don't think so. So that's a sponsorship. It is not a partnership. A partnership is when you give and I give, we work together to achieve one goal, right? But if one person is giving, that's a sponsorship. So Europe is sponsoring AU and, of course, those infrastructures in Africa, which means they have to control that, right? These are all political strategy. Our people, our leaders, because we don't read very well, we don't read agreement very well. We think that when we make friends with white people or with Europe, with the Western world, we are all also like them. No, it is not, because they'll make friends with you just to be able to get under your skin. So I would say that I am very hopeful that these things are going to come to an end, because we're going to make our leaders to understand that it is time to work for the African people, not for the European. When you are against your own people, it's a taboo by African culture. So you have to work with your people, not against your people. If we work against our people, then therefore you are not in support of our people. And so we have to change the system, So I don't know what they're thinking, but I'll let them know what they're thinking. I understand that it needs them to be able to build what they want to build in Africa. But no, we don't. We need us in Africa. What UPAM is doing is promoting and supporting Africa-made product. We have engineers, we have scientists, we have doctors, we have all kinds of people to be able to build our own infrastructure. We don't need Chinese to come help us to build it. We don't need Lebanese to come help us to build it. We don't need Europeans or Americans to come help us to build it. We have qualified people. We can employ them to be able to build the infrastructure we need in Africa. Let us use them. Let us use our own people. And also one more thing. For us to be able to realize our goals to build a proper infrastructure in the continent and have a sustainable system is to make sure people that we have put in charge, they should be competent and there should be a constant follow-up, which means that when you put a director or a minister in charge of certain sector in the government, we have to follow up with them, making sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, or they understand what they are doing. And they have to make sure that they have to be value in whatever they are building. If there's no value, it's waste of time and waste of money. And waste of money is waste of resources. So again, United Pan-Africanist Movement has plans in place to making sure that we are taking this work to the African people. We have helped, Zambia to put in industrial farms there to help refugees in that area. In South Sudan, where they have gone bankrupt, the government gone bankrupt because they cannot manage their own funds, and the citizens are dying of hunger and starvation, and they don't have any good system to support them. We've also been able to help to put structures there for them. And of course, we're working right now with Tanzania, has also one of the great nations. I also want to praise Magufuli of the late, who died, last year. That was a great man who did a great job for Tanzania. And if all African presidents were like that, I believe that things will get better. But again, I'm not, discrediting, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, because he's doing a great job. And one of the greatest things that he has accomplished in the recent days is the dam that, he constructed to provide proper electricity, because we have a problem with electricity in Africa. And so if the people of Ethiopia and the surroundings can have steady electricity, that will also help to create revenue, it will create jobs, and it will help a lot to create sustainable systems as well. So what we need to do is to be able to support him so that many more accomplishments can be done for the people of Ethiopia and, of course, the rest of the Africans. And I also have to call all the other leaders in Africa to copy an example of Ethiopia, because Ethiopia, again, has been a very successful nation from the ancient times, especially being one of the countries that will never colonize. I really praise Ethiopia for that, and I make sure that we have a lot of collaborations with the people of Ethiopia, especially with the project that we have coming up ahead. We have, project of implementing schools integrating schools across Africa, where we can be able to communicate with each other. We have to make sure that schools in Ethiopia and those in Sudan, and of course in Morocco, Mauritania, South Africa, Nigeria, Congo, Senegal, all that, we integrate them so that we can communicate, start talking to each other. We have programs that can run, as Pan-African programs every single year, that, the school systems can be able to work. And that's so that we make sure that we can be able to measure the value that we are putting into our students. We want to make sure that by the time students graduate from schools, they should become employers and not employees. They should not be thinking about going to Europe to follow their studies to become potential people in the country. No, by the time you graduate, you should already be a potential somebody. We want to be able to make sure that we can fund projects, of course, labs and of course research centers in our school system, making sure we have enough tools and of course equipment so that students can become very resourceful while they are in school. They can be able to manufacture, they can be able to create, they can be able to build things that will help the continent to grow forward. And whatever that is built in Ethiopia can be sold in Nigeria, can be sold in Malawi and all that stuff. So again, we have created that e-commerce, and we're going to be working with the continental free trade to making sure that we can be able to leverage this opportunity so that we can be able to help manufacturing in Africa and of course be able to sell within the continent. But right now, the structure is not there, but we want to make sure we can build that structure so that we can sell what is being produced in Africa and consume what is produced in Africa. We have the market, we have the population, we have the resources, Let us use them for our own benefit. Thank you.
Benedicto Mbango, the chairperson of United Pan-Africanist Movement, it is great to have you. I thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and I hope I will come back here again sometimes to talk about this furthermore.
You are watching Messenger from Amhara Media Corporation. I'm Johannes Lejalam. Thank you for watching.